have dissolved the country's transitional government and arrested the prime minister and other officials. So Haley Ott is in London following this, as well as other international stories. Haley, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Protests continue in Sudan this morning after the country's top general seized power yesterday in a military coup. Civilian demonstrators have taken to the streets around the capital city, Khartoum, waving flags and blocking roads. This despite soldiers opening fire on crowds yesterday, killing at least 7 people and injuring 140. The coup has dealt a major blow to hopes for a democratic transition in Sudan, where military and civilian leaders had shared power for the past 2 years, with an election scheduled for July 2023. The military says that election will still take place, but the United States has condemned the coup and frozen $700 million in vital economic aid. Next, to Syria, where a U.S. official says a drone attack last week on a military base where U.S. troops are located is believed to have been carried out by Iran. U.S. Central Command said 5 drones were launched from within Syria. There were no reported injuries or deaths, but this attack marks a shift. Previous attacks on U.S. troops in Syria have been carried out by Iran-backed militias, but not the country itself, which gave Iran a level of deniability. In this case, however, Iran itself is believed to be directly responsible. In a statement last week, U.S. Central Command said it would respond to the attack, quote, at a time and place of our choosing. Now on to Turkey, where a diplomatic crisis with Western nations appears to have been narrowly averted. Last week, the U.S. ambassador to Turkey and other Western diplomats issued a public call for the release of Osman Kavala, a businessman and government critic who has been in detention for 4 years. The public call for Kavala's release enraged Ankara, which accused the foreign diplomats of meddling in Turkey's domestic affairs. Turkey then threatened to expel the diplomats from the country. The foreign embassies concerned put out statements saying they abide by diplomatic conventions on non-interference, and yesterday, the Turkish president stepped back the threats of expulsion. Finally, we go to Japan, where 30-year-old Princess Mako has married her commoner boyfriend and forfeited her royal status. Mako's engagement and nuptials generated unusual scrutiny and criticism in Japan, sparking outrage among a small but loud group of hardcore traditionalists. Rules of the imperial house in Japan say that whenever a royal gets married, which these days is always to a commoner, they lose their imperial status. That's not unusual. But Japan's tabloid press jumped on the story of Mako's engagement, in part because her fiancé's mother was embroiled in financial disputes. Because of all the criticism, Mako has reportedly been suffering from stress-related illness. Anne-Marie, in a highly unusual press conference this morning in Tokyo, Mako called her new husband and college sweetheart irreplaceable, but apologized for any trouble that her marriage may have caused. The newlyweds are reportedly planning to move to the United States, not unlike some other royals we may know.
I mean, in a way, I don't blame her. I know, this was probably a plan that was in the works long before all this brouhaha, but I mean, this is supposed to be one of the happiest times of her life, and she's in front of cameras apologizing for it. I really feel for her. I hope that I hope the wedding was great, and I hope the marriage is even better.